Gear in old school RuneScape is constantly evolving and changing over time as new updates come into the game. On release, this was the best gear that you could buy, costing less than 10 mil for a full set. Nowadays, you need more than 10 billion GP to have all of the best gear in the game. This is more than a 1,000 times increase over what used to be the best in slot gear. In this video, I want to take you through the history of old school RuneScape's power creep by analyzing the best in slot gear for each style in each year. I also want to look at the big pieces of content that really advanced the game to where it is today. Power creep is the steady increase in strength of gear or enemies in-game over time. In most successful RPGs, the ceiling of the power in-game is constantly creeping upwards. While nobody wants to see their favorite armor or weapons devalued, power creep is essential to the game's longevity if it's managed appropriately. Imagine Raids 4's release with sailing, but everything you get from it is just a worse version of what we already have. This raid would be dead on release. New updates have to either fill a niche or be better than the thing they are replacing. Our story begins at the end. In February of 2013, we were back and looking like this. Well, at that point, you really only looked like this if you never went outside. On the game's release, Jagex booted up a 2007. It's the best melee armor that you could get. There were no Infernal Capes, there was no Tentacle Whips, and honestly, I messed up by having the imbue on the Berserker ring because that wasn't even in the game yet. For Mage, we relied heavily on the Aram set and some of the Mage Training Arena gear. None of this offered any offensive bonuses other than accuracy, so really just the spell's base damage was all that you had. Range itself was extremely lacking back in the day. We did have no damage increasing items just like Magic, but we did have God D'hide. Carol's was in the game as well, but as you probably know at this point, God D'hide is often better due to its defense bonuses. First few months of old school RuneScape is really just a bunch of quality of life updates. If you do remember, they booted in a 2007 version into a 2013 game marketplace, so there was a lot of stuff that they had to fix. By the end of year one though, we did have one update that really did change everything. The God Wars Dungeon. The God Wars Dungeon is a super iconic piece of content for old school RuneScape, and with this, we see our first update that brings a large amount of power creep into the game. We have the different armors that come from both Bandos and Armadillo, and then we also see some new weapons with the Armadillo crossbow, the Staff of the Dead, and the God Swords. At the end of 2013, this is our best in slot melee gear. We've upgraded to the Bandos armor set, extremely tanky and does provide a strength bonus. For Mage, not all too much has changed except for the Staff of the Dead, and the Staff of the Dead is very interesting because it's our first piece of magic armor that does give us a magic damage bonus. For range, we see a huge increase in power here, mostly an increase in how much it's going to cost for you to get this gear with the full Armadillo set and the Armadillo crossbow. The Armadillo crossbow is stronger than the prior Rune crossbow, and it also offers you a further attack range. The God Swords brought a whole new group of special attack weapons. You have the Bandos God Sword lowering defense, the ZGS, which could freeze an enemy in place, the Sardaman God Sword healing you both HP and prayer, and then the Armadillo God Sword becoming the best offensive special attack weapon in the game. 2014 brought a few major updates in the form of Slayer bosses. Slayer bosses are a boss variant of a normal Slayer monster. The first two, Kraken and Thermi, were released with their smaller counterparts. Towards the end of this year, the Corporeal Beast also entered the game. At the end of 2014, this is what our gear is looking like. We have the Tentacle Whip, which is going to give us a higher max hit and more accuracy than the regular whip, and also the Dragon Boots came out the previous year. I messed up in the last screenshot, but yeah, call me out in the comments below. Magic sees the largest increase in power out of all of the styles, and honestly, it really needed it at this point. The Arcane Spirit Shield is going to give us a massive magic attack bonus, which makes us more accurate. The Occult Necklace, which is the strongest magic item in the game until about a week ago, it gave you 10% magic attack percentage, which is just insane. And then the Trident of the Seas is our first powered staff, meaning that you don't need to have runes or a specific spell in order to cast the staff's built-in spell. And then range didn't really see too much of an increase unless I'm missing something here, but we got the Odium Ward from the Wilderness bosses, which does give us a little bit more range accuracy and I think a small amount of range strength. In other updates, we did get the Dragon Pickaxe, which is a power creep technically within skilling, as it is the new best in slot pickaxe. Then as far as niche items, we did get the Elysian Spirit Shield from Corp, which isn't really a best in slot for very much, but it does have some niche plays where it does give you a 15% damage reduction and a massive prayer bonus. Today's video is sponsored by Star Trek Fleet Command. I was really excited for this collaboration because I grew up watching Star Trek with my dad. Before you ask, it was the next generation. Star Trek Fleet Command takes all of those iconic characters, ships, and storylines and allows you to engage with other players all around the world to test your strategic ability, negotiate alliances, and harvest the galaxy's resources. The coolest thing about this game to me is all the different ships that you can collect. Growing up, I just knew about like the few different Enterprise class ships, but there are just so many more for you that are released every single month. There are new missions added all of the time, and it is the perfect time to get in so you can be a part of the Mirror Universe event. Star Trek Fleet Command is available both on mobile and PC. Personally, I prefer it on PC, but I could see this being a great game for a waiting room, a long morning commute, or an extended bathroom break at work. You get to collect spaceships, you get to blow up other spaceships. What's not to love? Download Star Trek Fleet Command free now using either my QR code or the link down in the description, and thank you so much for supporting my channel. In 2015, things really start to heat up with Zulrah. Zulrah was monumental not just because of the new gear that came into the game, which we'll talk about shortly, but also just because it is a new style of boss that paved the way for modern endgame content in Runescape. Before this, everything was really just like kind of a point and click style thing. But Zulrah was different. Zulrah, you have to have precise movement, positioning, you have to change your gear, attack with different attack styles, change your prayer, and there's so many other things to consider. There really wasn't anything nearly this complex until Zulrah was released. Later this year, the Grand Exchange was released. We also got Cerberus and the Abyssal Sire. At the end of 2015, our melee gear is starting to look pretty beastly. The Dragon Defender actually came into the game. I did not have a rune one, and I did not want to spend 4 hours grinding out another one just for this video. We did get the Serpentine Helm, which was our new best strength bonus. It also can envenom enemies, which is an extremely strong mechanic, and Cerberus brought us the Primordial Boots. For magic, we got an upgrade to the Trident. We have the Trident of the Swamps, which also can envenom enemies and gives us a higher max hit with more accuracy, and we have the Eternal Boots, which at the time only gave us a small amount of magic accuracy. Range probably saw the biggest change to the actual meta of how the skill is played. We got Pegasians, which give you a small amount of accuracy, and the Range Cape, which provides you with some prayer bonus on top of the Ava's effect, but the real game changer is the Blowpipe. The Blowpipe split range into two different attack styles in and of itself. You did have the classic crossbow type of setup where you're dealing large amounts of damage, but it does have a slow attack speed, but it is very accurate, so it's great against monsters with high defense. And then the Blowpipe does rapid, smaller amounts of damage, but higher DPS on monsters with lower defense. On release, the Blowpipe did way more damage than it currently does. It became meta for pretty much everything in game. It was way more accurate and it did just a ton of damage. It was best in slot like nearly everywhere. Another niche thing that entered the game is the Max Cape, which gives you all of the perks of all of the skill capes in one. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you are enjoying it, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. These are the two biggest things that you guys can help me out with to grow as a creator. 2016 didn't increase the power creep as much as some of the earlier later years, but we did get Zaya. Along with all the things that brings, we also got Monkey Madness too. Melee saw a minor increase with the Amulet of Torture. We also got the Dragon Warhammer, which on release wasn't too necessary, but will be very important for content that will come out in the later years. Range got the Necklace of Anguish, which gives you a healthy amount of range strength bonus, and Mage got the Tormented Bracelets, adding some magic damage bonus. We also got the Imbued Heart from the Superior Slayer monsters, which adds some max hits to the Trident of the Swamp. 2017 is by far the largest amount of power creep to date. The first update of the year brings us the Chambers of Xeric, RuneScape's first raid. After this, we get the Inferno, still regarded as one of the most difficult pieces of content in old school RuneScape. In the Wilderness, we got the Rev Caves, which was a ton of fun on release, even if it did have its problems here and there, and we also got the Mage Arena too. Melee got the Infernal Cape, which is our new best in slot cape, which is still best in slot to this day. We also got Dragon Claws, which will replace the AGS as the best special attack weapon in the game. Magic is going to see a huge leap forward, don't mind my partial kidding here, but we did get the Ancestral Robes and the Mage Arena 2 cape. Magic also got the Kodai Wand, which is going to replace the Staff of the Dead as the best weapon for using Ancients. Range got a new best in slot offhand with the Twisted Buckler. And of course, who could forget the Twisted Bow? The crown jewel of the Chambers of Xeric completely changed the way that the game is played. This is the strongest weapon in the game still to this day. It's really hard to overstate how strong and how influential the Twisted Bow is and was. It changed a ton of bosses that were a melee boss into a ranged boss and further solidified its range as the strongest attack style in old school RuneScape. 2018 brings some of my favorite pieces of content into the game. We got Dragon Slayer 2, which brings in Vorkath, all of the new Revenant rewards, the collection log, and the best piece of content in old school RuneScape, the Theater of Blood. The Theater of Blood saw a massive increase in power creep in the melee skill in particular. We got the Garazi Rapier, the new best in slot one-handed melee weapon, along with the new best in slot offhand, the Avernic Defender. The crown jewel of the Theater of Blood is the Scythe of Vitur. This is the new best in slot melee weapon overall. Attacking with Slash, this does 3 hit splats of damage on monsters that are more than a 3x3, and 2 hit splats of damage on monsters that are a 2x2 in size. Also from the theater, we have the Sanguinesti Staff. This is a direct replacement for the Trident of the Swamp with a passive effect that has a chance to heal you. Range got a small upgrade with the Vorkath's head being able to be added to a max cape, a range cape, or made into its own backpack. This helps you save more ammunition and gives you a small amount of range strength bonus. 2019 had plenty of changes, but most of them aren't really in line with the theme of this video. Biggest of these is easily the Song of the Elves quest and Prifddinas. In this area, we got the Corrupted Gauntlet and a new mining boss, Zalcano. From Zalcano, we get the Crystal Tool Seed, bringing crystal tools into the game, a direct upgrade from their dragon counterpart, and we got the new Slayer boss, the Alchemical Hydra. Most of the other updates for this year were quality of life. There's a lot of polling based off of customer service, connectivity issues, PvP, and all of that type of stuff. For melee, we got the Ferocious Gloves from the Hydra, and we also got the Face Guard from the Fremennik Exiles quest. Special mention for a niche item, we did get the Dragon Hunter Lance, which gives us a massive amount of DPS against dragons in particular. Magic saw 0 change whatsoever. Max range didn't see too much of a change either. We did see a massive increase for the middle tier range setup with the Crystal Armor and the Bofa. Just like 2019, 2020 had a huge focus on quality of life, improving older content that already existed in-game, account support, account security, and important things like that. For content, we got both the Nightmare of Ashihama and Fasani's Nightmare, the whole town of Darkmire in general, which gave us both Blood Shards and the Hallowed Sepulchre. While the Blood Fury isn't best in slot, it is super nice to have and did change the way that certain pieces of content are done in-game. Max melee gear remains relatively unchanged with one exception. The Inquisitor set has come out, which does give us a new best in slot weapon, the Inquisitor's Mace, but only when used with the full Inquisitor set. Otherwise, it does tie the Rapier and the Blade of Saldor, but with the full Inquisitor set, it does give it a small edge on the competition. Mage also saw a niche change with the Harmonized Nightmare Staff. This staff allows you to cast normal spellbook spells at a 4-tick attack speed. This does have certain areas where this is going to be the new best in slot. Due to the insane price tag of this item and the niche use cases, most players are still going to stick with the Sanguinesti. Range got absolutely no love and is identical to the previous year. In 2021, we have 0 upgrades and 0 changes to max gear in old school RuneScape, but that isn't to say that this wasn't an extremely busy year with a ton of new updates and content coming out. The Isle of Souls and the Soul Wars minigame came into RuneScape. We got Temperos, a new fishing minigame or boss, kind of a combination of the two. Shooting Stars were ported into the game, an old RS2 favorite. We also got the Arceus Spellbook, which gives us both Thralls and Death Charge, both of which are very popular. We also got my favorite update of the year, the combat achievements. Clans are officially added into the game. If you are looking for a clan, my clan is recruiting. We have 32 open spots as of me recording this video. Just join my friends chat. That's the 2 yellow icons in game, and just let me know that you would like to join, and if I have some time, I'll be sure to get you added. I stated it earlier, but melee had no changes, neither did mage, and range stayed the same as well. Next year, everything's about to change. The first update of the year brings us Nex, the 5th God Wars Dungeon General. She is unlike the others though, as she is far stronger and drops way better loot. She brings us the new Torva set, which is going to be our best in slot melee armor, the Zerite crossbow, and the Zerite Vambraces. We also got the Guardians of the Rift, a rune crafting minigame that also brought an outfit that allows us to make more runes per hour. In a big year for skilling minigames, we got the Giant's Foundry. And how could we possibly one-up Nex with Raids 3, the Tombs of a Masket? If we're talking about power creep, TOA has advanced the gear and meta in the game more than any other release in RuneScape history. For melee setup, we have Torva. This is going to give us some extra max hits as it does provide some additional melee strength bonus. Next up, we have Osmumten's Fang from the Tombs of a Masket. This one's going to be our best in slot one-handed weapon for monsters with high defense. For larger monsters or monsters with low defense, the Scythe still reigns supreme. Our mage setup saw a massive DPS increase with the Eladinis's Ward. This is going to be our new best in slot offhand when combined with the Arcane Sigil. This one affects all of our attack styles, but we did get the Lightbearer ring. This is going to make it so while worn, our special attack energy regains twice as fast. And what would a raid be without its centerpiece item? For the Tombs of a Masket, we have the Tumikin's Shadow. Finally, magic is getting a meaningful upgrade. This one is going to be putting magic on par with the Twisted Bow. This staff is absolutely devastating. It triples the magic accuracy and damage of all of your magic gear, and this one is actually 4x'd within the Tombs of a Masket itself. Range saw a massive power increase as well. We got the Masori armor, a direct upgrade from Armadillo, and it looks a lot better in my opinion. We also got the Zerite Vambraces, which completes the trio of glove switches. These ones come from Nex. We also got the Zerite Crossbow from Nex. This one's mostly a special attack weapon. What the special attack does is that if your attack hits, it is going to guarantee your bolt's special attack effect. What this means is that if you are using Ruby bolts, which is the most popular bolt to use, you are guaranteeing yourself a 110 damage hit. In 2023, we got a Wilderness Boss rework, which gave us upgraded versions of the Wilderness weapons. The Phantom Muskbow was released, and along with this, we did get the Venator Bow, which is great for Slayer. Bounty Hunter returned as a shell of its former self. And the biggest update of the year, Desert Treasure 2. With Desert Treasure 2, we got new rings, the Altar being the best in slot for melee, and our mage setup was updated with the Magus ring. Our range setup was updated with the Venator ring. So far this year, there's been two updates which have impacted power creep and the gear in old school RuneScape. The first of which is Project Rebalance. This didn't really change any of the max gear. It made Inquisitor a little bit better, made the Elder Maul really good, and basically made it so mid-game magic gear did give you more damage bonus. And we got Varlamore, a whole new continent to explore. With Varlamore, we got the Perilous Moons activity, the Hunters Guild, and the main draw, the Fortis Coliseum. As I stated previously, max gear changed very slightly this year so far. Melee stayed the same. Max Mage hasn't really seen an upgrade, but the middle tier Mage definitely has. The range skill did get a massive update with the Quiver. The Quiver does give you some additional range strength, some additional range attack bonus, which is accuracy, but it also allows you to use two different types of ammo at once, which is great for bringing along the Zerite Crossbow. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like the video, make sure that you do like the video, subscribe to the channel for more similar content, and a huge thank you to Star Trek Fleet Command for sponsoring this video. If you are interested in checking them out, make sure that you do use my link down in the description below. It helps me get more sponsorships, and it's a decent game. Give it a try.